sharing with you in this video 5 secrets to create faster that I believe are going to make it not only faster for you to create what you want, but also it's going to just make it easier for you as well. So what it's going to do is it's going to make it so that there's less internal resistance as you're actually creating what you want. So the first secret that I want to share with you in this video that's going to allow you to actually step into this is something so simple, but it's so powerful, which is just to use your voice. Use your voice more. Because really what I believe is that oftentimes we can neglect a very simple fact that you can just ask for what you want. You know, in any context, whether it's in your work situation or whether it's some kind of relationship in your life or like a friend, or maybe it's something in business, you know what I mean? Whatever the case might be, oftentimes all you have to do is just ask for what you want. You know what I mean? It's like we can forget the very bare minimum of communication and just ask for what you want. As well as understand that I want you to start to watch how you talk to yourself on a moment-to-moment basis. Because what I think people forget, and that oftentimes we can neglect a little bit, is the understanding that words actually do have energy behind them. And how you talk to yourself and the things that you say are going to affect your state. And not only is it going to affect your state, some things are going to change how you even process the present moment, and maybe it'll even disconnect you from your true state if you let it go too far, if that makes sense. So really what I want you to understand is that you can take each moment that you're going through in your life and you can understand that, are you actually, like, ask yourself a question. You can even ask yourself, like, are you using your voice to its full capacity in that moment? Because oftentimes we can get again into maybe like a state of complaining, or we can be upset, or we can say like, you know, like why there's resistance around not having what you want, like why has it not happened yet? Whatever the case might be, but it's like you can take all that energy and then just transmute it into maybe a question and ask for what you want. You know what I mean? Like it can be much more simple and powerful than we realize. And then so the second secret that I want to share with you in this video, which is a very powerful thing that I've come to realize, which is not to actually get too excited about the desires in your life before they happen. And then so what I'm saying there is not necessarily about not feeling excitement in your life. Really what I'm saying is not to lose yourself in the excitement. You know, whether we're talking about something that you've already are trying to create in your life, that you've already decided you're going to create, or whatever the case might be, what you want to start to do is just start to realize when you have these emotional feelings that are trying to kind of make it so that you lose yourself in them, if that makes sense. So what you want to start to do is, no matter what you're feeling, hold, so to speak, your spiritual ground. You know, stay connected to who you truly are. That's a very powerful secret that's going to speed along your creations and what you want to create in your life, because it's almost like you're giving yourself permission not to see your desire as some crazy end result, but just a simple day-to-day action. Just as simple as that. You know what I mean? It's like you can think about having this end desire that's crazy, which is a big emotional moment, but then you go back to what actions do you actually have to take to create what you want on a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. And then not to get too excited about that, but just to see, like, does that look good to you? You know, look at it logically. And of course, that can be exciting in all the things that you're doing, but you want to just make it normal. Ground it back into a normal energy of just, you already have it and it's totally normal. You're still going to feel the excitement. You're still going to feel the emotion. You're still going to feel every single thing in your life, but then you're going to ground it back into the present moment, into just the energy of what is. It's like the isness of what is the present moment. Makes it much easier like this. And then so the third secret to create faster that I found is really to understand that if you start to have discipline in your life, that's going to help you to actually get more momentum. And that's going to help you to get more speed and then make it easier to get what you want. So what you're going to start to realize is that when you take the small day-to-day action, when you take that small step, and then you start to actually speed along what you're creating because you focus on those small day-to-day actions, you're able to do this because you stop attaching to wanting things to happen immediately. It's almost like a paradox. You stop needing it to happen right immediately in this present moment. You know what I mean? It's like I need this to happen immediately right now, or my whole piece is done. And you start to say that, you know what? I'm just going to be happy with just day to day, like moment to moment action. And that's it. Day to day, moment to moment action. But then eventually that starts to build and it starts to speed up a little bit. It starts to feel easier as well. And that's because you were disciplined at first. So it's almost like riding a bike. When you ride a bike, it takes a little bit of resistance. It takes a little bit of work to get started, but then eventually you're just kind of going fast and it becomes easier to just maintain that speed. It's exactly the same thing when it comes to creating the things in your life. Start disciplined, start consistent thinking in the long term, let it build up and speed over time because you're just focused on the day-to-day small actions. And then so the fourth thing that I want to share with you in this video, the fourth secret that I found to create faster is really something very powerful that many people can oftentimes forget as they're doing what they're doing in their life, which is, I believe, to not lose your divine connection to what you're doing in your life. Every single moment that you're doing something, as you're doing it, you can either lose yourself in it again, or you can do it from a space of purity, so to speak. Another way to say it is to align with divine intention, with the actual divine intention of this present moment. So oftentimes what we do is we can get lost in a pattern of wanting something just to want something, for just because you want it. And that's fine. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But what I'm inviting and encouraging here is a greater vision and a greater path. That's not just what your ego wants. You know what I mean? It's not just what your ego wants. You can get into a greater vision of something maybe a little bit more pure, if that's possible. So it's not to say that it has to feel like a sacrifice. What I believe is that what you'll find is that you're still able to create everything that you want. In fact, when you align your intention with divine intention, what you'll find is that nothing blows up as the ego believes it will. Everything just becomes easier, and it's actually easier to create because there's no heaviness and there's no burden anymore because you're not attached to everything so much. So this is what's going to make it much easier to create what you want, because you're able to do things but not lose yourself again in the doing. And then so that's what we're talking about when I'm saying don't get too excited about the desire earlier. That means, again, staying connected to your divinity and then aligning your intention with the greater intention of consciousness and what is. And then so the fifth thing that I want to share with you that's very powerful, the fifth secret to create faster, is what I've really found is to have an understanding that energy flows where attention goes. This is a very powerful concept because really what it's doing is it's not even only just a concept, but it's something that you can begin to notice in your present moment experience every single moment actually. So what you want to start to notice is that, even if you, for example, let's just say you notice your breathing. Let's say you notice the feeling in your hands. Let's say for a moment you notice the feeling in your feet. But then there's also can be a noticing of awareness itself, of sort of the space that is noticing anything at all. So when you notice awareness itself, instead of noticing a form, can you notice the space in which the form is created completely, which all form, so to speak, resides in? That's where your energy can go. You can bring your energy back into yourself. So what you're doing here is you're keeping yourself spiritually grounded as you're doing stuff. That's something very powerful. You can still think thoughts, you can still do stuff, you can still have your mind, but you now use your mind as the tool that it is, which is a very powerful, again, not even a concept. It's something that I invite and encourage every single person to start to notice in their experience as they're doing what they're doing. This is going to free up the energy to get out of your head, quite literally, and get into the present moment. Because oftentimes what you'll find is that a lot of people as well can have too much energy in their mind. And how do you get out of your mind? You literally have to bring the energy into the present moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually what you have to do. You have to bring it down to earth. You have to bring all those thoughts, bring all those ideas, and then turn it into action, and then turn it into actually doing stuff, but not just by doing it, by being it, and being, of course, the change that you want to see in the world. And of course, you've heard this before. And so what does it actually mean? It means staying connected to the beingness of the present moment, and then again, being the identity that you want to be in your life, and the person that you actually want to be. And that's understanding that wherever you put your attention is where the energy is going to flow. So if you put your attention on negativity, if you put your attention on all the things that are going wrong in your life, if you put your attention on all the bad things, then you're going to experience more of this, of course, in your life. It's a very basic principle of where the energy flows, where attention goes. Attention flows where energy goes, and energy goes where attention goes. They both go hand in hand. So you can also choose to put your attention on positive ideas and then ignore the negative ideas. Not to discredit the negative ideas, not that you dishonor them or don't feel them, but you have a choice and free will in the matter to choose the type of thoughts and the thought frequencies that resonate more for you as a spiritual free will being in this universe. You can also choose to put your awareness on awareness itself and then kind of reside in that space. And really what I'm inviting you to do here is just to notice this whole process. Become conscious of this whole process. That's what's going to help you to create faster, is to notice the essence prior to anything at all. Notice how you can become the observer of your attention, so to speak. You can become that. And notice that that's going to help you to naturally gain more control over focusing on the things that you dislike, so to speak, or do not prefer. Because what I'm inviting here is, when you come from this space, there's no judgment at all on anything anymore. Anything that pops up into your life, you accept as a part of existence, but then it makes it so that you can more freely choose your preference and not feel guilty about it. Not feel guilty that you maybe prefer one thing over another, because that's just what resonates and feels exciting for you at this time. And that's a powerful secret that's going to make it so that you feel less guilty, less shameful. There's less resistance, less internal resistance to creating what you want, that you can just be the person that you want to be without actually resisting even an internal dialogue about anything that could be happening, because you can turn that internal dialogue into something that is even better by transmuting it and then repositioning your attention onto something else after it plays out and after it's done.